sometimes it's quite helpful when things are listed out and you can kind of identify things with yourself. When you listen to something and you go, okay, like that's not me, but I relate to that, or maybe that is me. So if we go through the list of things, I'll kind of bring up a few points. If you just list off, I guess, how you felt, how lack of sleep actually affected these things, I think
Mm.
that'd be quite an interesting exercise.
Let's do
If
it.
you
I've never
agree.
done this before. Let's do it. This is great.
Well, emotionally, what were the main factors that you noticed? What changed? If we just kind of list them off in bullet points, what did you notice?
Emotionally, definitely affected kind of the emotional connection I had with my husband. I I had this fear of the bedroom, the bed, kind of everything 'cause it's just got such negative connotations attached to it. If we go out on a date night, it's the only thing I could talk about. It almost kind of became an obsession. What would I try next for it? I tried not to whinge about it because I didn't think that was very productive. But sometimes you just want to have a good cry around it. I felt I really struggled to kind of be emotional with my two daughters, not because I thought kind of they were the trigger, just because like you're just so emotionally exhausted. Like you put so much emotion into just you being able to sleep that you've got nothing else to give at any other time. And then I think the same with friends as well. It's very hard when you're going through um, something like that isn't visible, and it's happening in the middle of the night when everyone else should be sleeping, to focus on anything else when you talk to people. And I think I did probably close myself off a little bit just from other people, just because I felt like a broken record, and it's hard to have an emotional conversation with anyone when you've got so little to give. So yeah, that's emotional.
And mentally, what was your kind of view on life mentally? How did that change?
I think in the middle of the night it was worse. When you are lying there for hours and hours and hours and hours, and you're trying everything to go back to sleep, it really did send me crazy. I tried not to look at the time, but you'd be looking at the clock. What felt like an hour had been 10 minutes. And this went on every 10 minutes throughout the night. And I'd just be like, please let the sun come up so this can end. And it drove me insane. It drove me absolutely insane. And I think where I was maybe going wrong, and something that I've really had to work on, is not fixating on the fact that I'm not sleeping and have a really positive attitude about it. If I'm lying there, my body's resting. And that really mentally flipped for me. So lying and being positive,
Yeah.
thinking about good things, listening to affirmations, anything that helps you when you've got a negative state of mind really did help me to deal with it a lot better, because I was driving myself nuts lying there.
I saw a quote and it said, if you have a negative outlook, you're likely to have a negative life. Like no matter what your circumstances. I just thought that was really interesting because if you change your perspective on things,
Yeah.
and people talk about, gratitude and all of that, but I'm not kind of saying that you have to delve into it, but just viewing it slightly differently
Yeah.
is quite an interesting flip that you mentioned there. So yeah, I like that kind of nothing's changed. You're still awake. You're still counting down the minutes, but you just are thinking like, you know what, it's actually fine, and then it changes slightly. It's interesting.
And when I was finding when I was being negative about it, whether it be in the middle of the night or in the morning, it was so much worse. Because I was talking about it more, I was thinking about it more. And actually, if I just kind of flipped my mindset, and that is really hard to do at 3 a.m., but if you flip your mindset, stick on a good affirmation kind of YouTube, and really just kind of say to yourself, the best thing I ever told myself is, if my body's resting, I'm resting. If my body's resting, I'm resting, even though I'm not asleep. And that really, really did help to flip my mindset. And even now, when I get it, I don't feel kind of in that headspace anymore. I feel much more positive these days.
How are your stress levels?
Um, What, at the time or
At the
now?
time? What about the manifestations of,
Yeah,
physical manifestations of it? How was
the the stress levels were high. There was an underlying frustration. The stress levels were very, very high, but I also had a lot going on at work at the time. I was closing my first company. I was actually being sued by someone, which we won, by the way, so that was fine. But something when that plays on your mind every night. The kids were much younger; they were up a lot. So my stress levels were through the roof anyway. I did try kind of as much as possible to reduce them. So I did a lot of yoga, I did a lot of meditation. And over the years, I think that did really help. Just reducing those stress levels is obviously going to impact, if you have got chronic insomnia, it's going to help impact in a positive way that insomnia.
yeah. And physically then, linking on from that, what were your physical, changes, or what did you notice having less sleep?
Apart from the fact I looked awful. Big bags, big bags under my eyes. No, I was very, very achy. It took me a very long time to realize that that was actually linked. I had aches in my arms and my legs, and I couldn't figure out for months what they were. It was almost like cramping in my muscles. And I can't believe I didn't link the two together sooner. But really, really tight muscles, really tense neck pain, leg, shoulders, arms. And again, just like giving myself some leeway. I went for a lot of kind of holistic massages, which really, really helped. Just giving myself a few hours a week that were time for me just to relax and try and kind of get myself back into sleep. I should say the biggest thing for anyone that has got insomnia that's listening, the thing that had the biggest impact on me, and this won't be the same for everyone, was magnesium. Um, I went, as I said, I went to kinesiology, which was by far, in terms of sleep, the best thing I did, because she gave me the answers I was looking for. I knew that I was feeling guilty about every aspect of my life that I wasn't performing, kind of as a mother, as a wife, in work. And she told me I was magnesium deficient. And those two things together made a massive impact, because I was able to recognize that that was my go-to emotion and then deal with it. And I increased my magnesium intake, which almost instantly gave me a few extra hours a night. So those two things together, if anyone's got insomnia, definitely look at your magnesium, or if you can do, go and get kinesiology, because it was amazing.
Was that the turning point when you
Yeah.
kind of discovered that?
Yes. Yeah. And I actually met her through she lives in South Devon, but I actually met her through a female networking group that I'm part of from back in London. And we just met up for a cup of tea, just to chat about running a business. And she told me what she did, and she said, I bet I can get you sleeping. And I mean, I had tried everything. I tried hypnotherapy, everything you think of, I had tried to try and get me sleeping. But I thought, you know what? There's nothing left to lose, so I might as well just go and try it. And I'd say it was almost instant. Like, just knowing what that go-to emotion was, I was able to say to my husband, look, my go-to emotion is guilt. If I need an extra couple of hours, not that he was making me feel guilty about it, but I needed him to make me feel extra positive about it, go above and beyond to make me feel like this is okay. And just knowing that made a massive difference. So yeah, that was absolutely the turning point, kinesiology.